What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Dungeon Master Experience. In this video, we're diving into the fantastic Dungeon Master Experience articles by Chris Perkins, one of the lead designers of Dungeons & Dragons. We'll explore his invaluable insights and advice to enhance your skills as a Dungeon Master and create unforgettable D&D experiences for your players. This article is called The Dastardly Duo, and it's from April 7th, 2011. Let's see what it's all about. The last article said this one was about villains, so that's exciting. By the way, I'm putting all of these videos about these articles in one playlist on my channel. So if you want to just blast through them, go to my channel, find the playlist. It's the Dungeon Master Experience. There you go. They're all right there. And they're in the same order that I recorded them, which is the same order that they came out originally in 2011. Okay, anyway, Dastardly Duo, April 7th, 2011. Wednesday night. The characters, now 15th level, have reached the midpoint of the campaign. To celebrate this achievement, I decided to involve them in something truly world-shaking. The time had come to give them a flavor of evil they'd never tasted before. Enter Carl Mistrum and Nemencia Xandros. Carl and Nemencia have three qualities that make them stand out. First, like all truly evil villains, they believe that their actions are justified. Second, they're incredibly lucky. And third, like two sides of a coin, they can't really exist without one another. This is a really important point. All good villains think that they are the protagonist of their own story. The perfect example is Thanos. He thinks he's doing something really good for the universe, but most of the universe does not agree. The same can be with your villain. Or let's see how Carl Mistrum and Nemencia Xandros do in Chris Perkins' game. Carrying on. If Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV series, not the loathsome movie, taught me anything, it's that two villains are better than one. It was proven in Season 2 with vampires Spike and Drusilla, reaffirmed in Season 3 by Mayor Wilkins and Faith, and then sorely missed in subsequent seasons. If you want to make a case for the brilliant pairing of Rutger Hauer and Paul Rubens in the Buffy movie, knock yourself out, preferably with a sledgehammer. So Chris Perkins is throwing some shade on the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, guys. What are we going to do about it? That's a real question. What are we going to do about it? He wrote this over 10 years ago and he got away with it scot-free. I'm just kidding. I don't really have an opinion. Let's keep moving on. Like Spike and Drew, the Dastardly Duo in my Wednesday night campaign are lovers, which mostly serves as a plot device to explain why they're together, but also gives their relationship an added layer of realism and complexity, particularly when the cracks start to form. They're both human, born into noble families suffering under the tyranny of the Dragonborn-dominated empire that rules most of Iomandra. Determined to shatter the imperial hold over their regency, Carl and Nemencia have stolen their parents' fortunes to spend on a massive elemental citadel held aloft by a 1,000-foot-high cyclone of water. Once they've obtained the citadel, Carl and Nemencia plan to wipe out the imperial fleet at Io-Kalioth and run roughshod over the island city. It might seem crazy in your campaign, but it fits perfectly into mine. That's cool. I really like the idea of having two villains instead of one. Normally, I gotta be honest with you, normally I have one villain. Well, that's not exactly true. So usually what I do is I'll have three forces of evil at work, kind of. So I might have like a matron mother, I might have a red dragon, and I might have, let's say, the Goblin King. And then each of those has a goal in the world that they're trying to achieve, and then just whatever kind of happens. So I guess you could say I usually have three bad guys, but I usually don't have a pair of bad guys that work together. So that's kind of a really cool thought that Chris has brought up here. Let me know what kind of bad guys y'all use, I guess. Let's move on. It's very easy to hate a pair of spoiled rich kids who want to trade their silver spoons for platinum and blow obscene amounts of money because they feel trodden upon. The heroes first become involved with them when they attend a secret auction of elemental weaponry. The last item up for grabs is the Elemental Citadel. It's here when the heroes meet Nemencia, who seems pretty harmless and out of her league until she bids 25 million gold pieces on the Citadel in question. That's a lot of gold pieces. At that time, it's not clear what her intentions are. The players are initially led to believe she's representing her father, a powerful baron with a sterling reputation. After the conclusion of the auction, Nemencia is more than happy to offer the heroes a tour of her new citadel, convinced that they share her disdain for the Empire. However, it soon becomes clear that her intentions are far from noble. When the heroes try to wrest the crown from her, she crashes the citadel into the sea. Using a talisman obtained earlier in the campaign, the heroes travel back in time, effectively escaping a TPK. That's pretty epic, man. Elemental citadel crashing into the sea, and then the adventuring party is like, I guess, like looking out the window, watching the ocean get closer and closer, and they're like, man, I guess we got to use the talisman. Oh man, where's the thief? Oh, he's in the treasure room. Get him over here. We got to use the talisman and time travel back in time. That's pretty cool. That's a cool idea. Anyway, my imagination is running with it. Let's keep going. Time travel, a fun if tricky plot device that I hope to discuss in a future article. I hope so too, Chris. The heroes get a second shot, but instead of turning on Nemesia, they remain aboard the Citadel and wait for an opportunity to betray her. Before the heroes can act against Nemesia a second time, Karl appears. That's when the heroes realize they're facing two villains, not one. The added complication is that Karl is not alone. He's joined by a flight of mercenary dragons bribed into defending the Citadel. What to do? The heroes first try to play the two lovers against one another. When that fails, they try to convince the dragon mercenaries to betray the lovers, and very nearly succeed. When Karl finally becomes aware of their scheme, the battle's joined. As the Citadel cuts a swath of destruction through Iocalios Harbor, Karl and Nemesia hold out for as long as possible before making their escape. What makes Karl and Nemesia especially memorable, apart from their countless flaws, is their longevity. Since the first fateful meeting, they've crossed paths with the heroes on 3 more occasions. So what he's saying here is if you have a reoccurring villain, it really helps to make them memorable, which I guess is kind of obvious. But at the same time, the average D&D villain lasts about 2.5 rounds of combat, you know what I mean? So that's the tricky part. All right, here we go. Here's the, I guess, 3 occasions in which the party crossed paths with them. All right. Weakened and wounded from their ordeal aboard the Citadel, Karl and Nemesia are captured by agents of the Dragovar Empire. The heroes feel sorry enough for the lovers to extricate them from their predicament. Once out of harm's way, Karl and Nemesia betray the heroes and nearly get them killed before escaping once again. That's pretty cold, man. So the players actually rescued them from the agents of the Dragovar Empire, and then once they were out of harm's way, they just betrayed the players. Okay, moving on. The heroes learn that the Dragovar Empire has just posted a 2 million gold piece bounty for the capture of Karl and Nemesia. Man, what is up with these prices? Is this like 4th edition have a lot more money, or is this just his game in his world has this much money floating around? That's amazing. The heroes finally catch them aboard Karl's ship, but when the vessel is overrun by Githyanki pirates, the heroes are forced to surrender the lovers to save their own skins. Oh, so they had to give the 2 million gold piece prisoners to the Githyanki. Oh, that's actually, man, that has to sting. After the vessel is destroyed by a far realm mine, the heroes seek another time travel talisman to undo the sequence of events that caused their ship's destruction. They discover a drow NPC who has what they need, and also learn that the drow is conducting secret business with Githyanki pirates. Once they learn that the pirates have released Karl and Nemesia into the drow's custody, vindictive and somewhat more jaded heroes hunt down and kill the 2 lovers out of spite, forcing the drow to use his time travel talisman to undo the event. When they try again, the heroes discover that Karl and Nemesia have been spirited away, and the talisman's power has been spent. Oh my gosh, this campaign sounds amazing. The heroes' fleeting victory turns into a bitter irony as their thirst for vengeance has cost them the very item they sought. Alright, lessons learned. The saga of Karl and Nemesia isn't something I planned from the get-go. I fully expected them to be dead by now. Everything that's happened so far is a result of hundreds of decisions and dice rolls, combined with calculated efforts on my part to have them resurface in unexpected ways. They've become the archetypal 2-headed villain of my Wednesday night campaign. At some point, I'll share with you another villainous archetype that's become the bane of my Monday night group, but that's another story. The theme of the Dastardly Duo appears frequently in literature, film, and TV. Partnered villains are better than singular villains for so many reasons. They act as mirrors for one another, they can be turned against one another, and they remind the players that villains also have relationships that can be explored and exploited. Perhaps most importantly, if one of them dies, the other can carry the torch. Karl and Nemesia have taught me 3 other important lessons worth mentioning here. The best villains are like the heroes. They don't know everything, they make mistakes, and they have a knack for turning disadvantage into advantage. The best villains are the ones the players can interact with. And if you want to keep your villains from getting killed, try making them more valuable alive than dead, or make the consequences of their deaths severe and readily apparent. Regarding the second point, which is the best villains are the ones the players can interact with, there's an inherent risk that comes with giving heroes face time with your carefully crafted villains. More often than not, the villains will perish before achieving any true level of infamy, but for every 19 that die before their time, there will be the 20th villain in whom the gods show favor, the villain or dastardly duo that survives long enough to make the heroes' lives truly miserable. And regarding my third point, which is if you want to keep your villains from getting killed, make them more valuable alive than dead, imagine what would happen if my players suddenly learned that Carl and Amencia had become heroes of the people, symbols of unity among humans fighting for independence against the ruthless Dragovar Empire. What would happen, I wonder, if the heroes murdered them in cold blood? Until the next encounter. And it's signed Dungeon Master for Life, Chris Perkins. Alright, that article was a super cool one. I really liked the Elemental Citadel scene and talking about haggling with the Drow agent for the time travel device, and then they killed the duo out of anger and vengeance, just out of probably losing their patience. Characters like, you know what, I'm just going to attack them. They end up killing them, but then they have to get this time travel device and then go back and do the right thing to capture them or whatever, and then they escape. And, oh my gosh, it sounds amazing. It really does. So anyways, thanks for listening to me read this article and comment upon it. If you like the video, hit like, all that good stuff. I'm putting all these in a playlist. Yeah, that's it. Later.